Hello and welcome to the Plant-Based Revolution podcast with your host, myself, Neil Damerel from My Lifestyle Coach. Just want to thank you first of all for taking time out of your precious day to listen to me today. I know time is precious and any time spent with me on my podcast is very much appreciated. Today's topic, I'm just going to give you a little bit of backstory to my life and how I adopted into consuming more of a plant-based lifestyle, plant-based diet over the years. What was the catalyst for change for me? What benefits I've received and experienced from adopting more of a plant-based diet, and my thoughts on the plant-based diet going forward in the coming years, and the growth obviously of a plant-based diet and the movement and the increase in availability to vegan products, etc. on the market. So just going to start off with how I got to sort of change in my life, really, because just like most people, I wasn't born perfect, and I'm certainly not perfect, and my lifestyle was very, very different over 10 years ago now. Before I became a lifestyle coach, personal trainer, I was a hairdresser. So what went with that was definitely a lot of socialising, going out 2 or 3 times a week. Certainly not eating very well. I was very active. I was still, an active individual. Have done from the age of 5, but certainly not very committed in terms of the things I achieve now or have done the last 10 years compared to what I was when I was hairdressing. I was just playing football, once or twice a week, going to the gym every now and then, but nothing really that serious. Trying everything under the sun, shortcuts, supplements, etc. But I was young. I was getting over the hangovers by going out the next day, etc. Eating very badly. I think my regular weekend treat, if I was a bit hungover, was fish and chips or sausage and chips from down the chippy, and then a tub of Ben and Jerry's ice cream from the local video store. So that was going back a few years before we had Netflix. So I used to go down, get a DVD, buy some Ben and Jerry's, and that'd be my evening sorted, sitting in watching a DVD after my fish and chips, or even a Dada pizza at the time that used to be called in my local area. That was way before Domino's and Pizza Hut and Pizza Express, etc. So yeah, it wasn't very healthy whatsoever, and that would, it would be probably a Ben and Jerry's tub that would be enough for 2. So certainly not very good for me. But you have to go through those periods to learn to appreciate the new periods in your life and the journey it takes. And what happened to me in terms of my catalyst for change is that I decided, at the time I wasn't very happy hairdressing. I wanted to do a bit of travelling, so me and my couple of friends went to Southeast Asia. I popped off to Australia for a little bit, and we carried on partying, really, and travelling around. I wasn't partying all the time, but certainly wasn't educated or doing any regular exercise. We were doing a bit of treks here and there, but tasting the local cuisine, the local drinks, etc. And it was a lot of fun times, but a lot of times just travelling and then chilling out on beaches. Very little activity, for example. And this was sort of 10 years ago now, going back 2004, 2005, I think it was, yeah. And so over 10 years ago. And during this period of time, we had a break from each other. So, we had 6 months in each other's pockets, and we had a period where we went off and did our own things. And I went to a spa in Koh Samui in Thailand. So this spa I'd seen on TV. It was like a celebrity detox where these guys went to the spa and detox for a week, and I was like, I fancy that. I'd always had an interest in yoga and meditation and exploring new things, and it was a perfect opportunity while I was away to do it. So went to this spa in Koh Samui, and I remember on the way, because it was a detox, I had not. We were going to fast for 10 days basically, and have certain treatments done to cleanse all the toxins out of your body. And one of the rules was that you had to consume only raw food like 2 or 3 days before, so just to kind of get your body used to the like digestive cleanse in terms of fasting. And I went to the supermarket, bought a few raw carrots, and was eating them on the bus on the way down. And this was, I remember being torturous. I was like, I don't enjoy this whatsoever. This is horrible. I'd never had a raw carrot before. Never really had any, you know, I probably had vegetable food, but nothing, raw carrots and raw broccoli or whatever I was eating. It was just disgusting. The taste buds wasn't there. It was very unpleasant. So what I did, I carried on, got to the detox, did the detox, and over 10 days lost quite a bit of weight, lost about a stone. I didn't really have much to lose, but really kind of just shifted all that kind of excess fat that was hanging around my body and toxins from bad high-fat foods and alcohol that I was drinking for the whole 6 months away. And my taste buds really changed. I started having, the restaurant itself was a vegetarian restaurant. One of the best in the country at the time. I think rated one of the best in the country or in the world as well. And was just enjoying, a new taste bud in my mouth, and new fresh vegetables, and everything changed. I came back and met my friends, and I was eating, raw veg and vegetables, and they were gobsmacked. I was it was very, very different, and especially when I come home and everybody saw that I was eating these kind of foods. It was very different to what they were used to, and definitely changed me, quite rapidly in that time. So and that really gave me the because during the time at the spa, I was there for the detox was 10 days, and then I decided to stay on another 2 or 3 weeks and did a whole month there actually, and did a bit of scuba diving, etc. But that allowed me to stay around the spa, which I really enjoyed because it was a really good positive environment. Did some yoga, meditation, and met some really good people. And during that period, there's a lot of information, a lot of books that you could read on nutrition, and it really gave me that kind of like light bulb moment that I wanted to kind of do this full time as a career, because I was really passionate about not just helping myself be healthier, but passing the knowledge on to other people. And being in the service industry before in the past, being a hairdresser, that's what I kind of thrive off, seeing people happy and serving people. So it was like, right, this is what I need to do. So I came back, and it took me maybe a year to try and find my way. And then, lucky enough, I found a course in my local area, which was fantastic for me, which was looking at holistic health as well during the module process. So we looked at Reiki and meditation, and you could really sort of tailor the modules to suit your passion. So if someone had a passion for sports science, they could tailor it in that direction. But like myself, it was very sort of health professional minded in terms of going into the health sector, just helping Joe Public rather than going into the elite sports science environment. And my dissertation is because we could focus on your own dissertation. You didn't have to pick a subject. You could do a subject that you wanted to do, and mine was on a vegan diet. So I did the psychological and physiological benefits of a vegan diet. So I had 3 groups: balanced diet, vegan diet, and sort of a placebo group, for example. And looked at the difference, and it was only over a 6-week period, so it was a short study, but so there's no significant difference in terms of the difference between a balanced diet and a vegan diet in terms of what they lost in terms of weight, cholesterol, blood pressure, when we did all those measurements. But what I did find, was this psychological element. And I did interviews with everybody that went on all the diets. So the people who were on a vegan diet felt they were healthier than the ones on a balanced diet, because they were, psychologically, consuming more vegetables, definitely consuming more vegetables in their diet when we analysed their food diaries. And it really had a good benefit to them to seeing fruit and veg on the plate every day. They felt healthier, as well as being healthier because they were consuming more greens on a daily basis. So that was the first element that I looked at doing the vegan diet, and that was back in 2010, and that was something that I was adapting, eating more vegan plant-based foods at the time. I think when I came back from Thailand, I gave up dairy pretty much. Never really been a big dairy consumer at any rate, but I certainly switched from consuming milk in my porridge or my cereal to soy milk at the time. So that's been over 10 years just doing that itself. But then, went on, studied further, went to Loughborough, which is top sports university in the country, do my masters, which is a big achievement for myself. Even to get my degree and then go to a masters was amazing, and that was more science and sports. It was a sports and nutrition masters, a bit more sports science. You couldn't really tailor it to your personal needs in terms of me focusing more on a plant-based diet, but it was a really good learning curve, really good experience. And then after that, during that process where I sort of trained as a personal trainer, performance exercise specialist, corrective exercise specialist, so being able to deal with a lot of sports science injuries, but also injuries in terms of runners and cyclists and stuff that I'm very passionate about working with, and it really gave me a good grounding to go into the industry, and from there I went on to work as a personal trainer. And during that period, that was very, very good. I was working for a company, but at the time felt a bit restricted within the company in terms of trying to put my ideas forward and get any ideas off the ground. It would take a big process. So decided after a year or so to go completely self-employed, and that was 2012, 2013. So that was a big jump. And during that period of time, what I was finding, my passion for vegetarian food and vegetarian cooking was growing, year by year after I came back from Thailand, and I was frustrated with the lack of vegetarian options on the market, and started playing around with, better vegetarian snacks, vegetarian meals, and that led me eventually to open my own vegetarian food business, which became a vegan food business and ended up being a street food business, which is really well. It was hard going because it was only myself, and I was roping in friends and family to help out, and it's quite labour intensive, especially on the cold days when you stood outside serving your food. But had some really good food festivals, had some sort of ups and down festivals, but my niche was serving 3 burgers, like a beetroot burger, vegetarian burger, sweet potato burger, red lentil burger, and they were just, awesome burgers. Went really well. Got nominated for one burger for a Best Food Award, which was really good. But the biggest thing was seeing everybody enjoy the food, and a lot of people who were really, big meat eaters coming along and saying how amazing this burger was, and how dense and meaty it actually felt, even though it wasn't any meat. And my passion was creating products that are around the vegetable itself, rather than trying to be a meat replacement. So I wasn't making it to taste like meat and have like a meat burger but wasn't meat, for example, that that you get on the market these days. But having something that was really, really showcasing the vegetables, the flavour that you get in vegetables and the variety that you can do with vegetables, really. And we got my menu down really niche, and it was really good, and some really successful food festivals. Got a good following, and it was fantastic. It was really, really good because it was, for me, I was helping again in a way. It was another way of me trying to help people be healthier and just get them thinking that a little bit more about trying to consume more vegetables in their diet. And that was the whole aim for it. Really, was just to showcase the flavours, and also provide a bit more convenience, because I think there's there's more now, but there was at the time there's little convenience in terms of healthy fast food, and that was the kind of concept: healthy fast food on the go. Burgers in a wrap that you could get within a minute, and it went really, really well. So there's something definitely that I am really still passionate about, and obviously it's a growing market which I'm really, really passionate about. So who knows in the future where that business may end up. Is still in the locker, locked away for the moment, but potential for that in the future. So so that really sort of brings me up to speed to where I am now, really, because after that I was getting better with vegetarian, vegan options, but Get a vegetarian pizza, a bit of cheese when you go out. It's not going to do any harm. Um, my personal beliefs, I come from the health side of things in terms of reducing your meat and dairy consumption is going to definitely improve your health. But I appreciate people focus on the animal welfare side. I've learned a lot about that after becoming a vegetarian, plant-based, as I like to call it, over the last 10 years. And that's another topic for another day. But so if people are very passionate about that, then that's okay for them. But I think what we don't have to do and what we have to get away from is kind of alienating people and saying, "Oh, you said you're a vegan, now you just had some meat, so why are you having that and why are you having this?" And I think it's not healthy, because if you think about people consuming plants and vegetables, we do struggle in the UK to consume just 5 a day, let alone 10 a day, which is definitely more recommended than just 5 a day. But people struggle with even consuming 5 a day in terms of their fruits and vegetables. So by discouraging people by saying, "Oh, you said you're a vegan, and 2 days in, you're eating meat," is like, what does that mean? I feel it puts people off consuming a healthier diet, because they feel like they have to stick to that regime, and then when they fall off the wagon, that's it. It's like going on a diet. You go on a diet and you're so strict with your diet that if you do have something bad, you feel so guilty that you think, "Oh, you've ruined everything." So then your motivation lacks after that day, and you kind of go back to how you used to eat. And it's not really a positive, environment, not a positive message that you want to put out to people. So that's how I kind of adapt my diet really on a daily basis, and what I encourage other people to do is, 80% of the time my diet is, I would say, a vegetarian diet at home. I'll make vegetarian pizzas, might have a bit of cheese, but very little. I'm not, like I said before, not really a big cheese fan. When I go shopping, I never really think about going to the meat aisle. The only meat I tend to buy really is a bit of mackerel and tuna, tin mackerel tuna, which is convenient for me to make lunch if I'm out and about. But also really good for good fats in my diet, omega-3s, omega-6s. So go for sustainable sources as well, to help the environment. But that may be 1 or 2 meals in a week, and then every evening meal will be a vegetarian, a vegan diet, say like a bean chili that I make, or a vegetarian vegan lasagna, or a green curry with lentils. My breakfast is pretty standard, which is more porridge with soya milk. Might have the odd pancake at the weekends with either some full fat Greek yogurt, or I go for a vegan yogurt, depending on what's available. And anything I make at home, snack wise, make some chocolate cocoa balls, or some pancakes. Sorry, not pancakes, flapjacks, which are all vegan butter. So most of the time, my diet is more of a plant-based diet, like I said. And then if I do go out for a meal, I'll go out for friends, I'll have whatever on the menu. If I go to a nice restaurant, I don't want to kind of say to the chef, "Yeah, I'm a vegetarian, I can't have anything that's on your menu. I'm just going to go and enjoy what's available. It's one day, it's a treat." If you're doing it every day, that becomes a problem. But every month or two, it's a treat. And my body doesn't really react too well to heavy food, so I'll still probably go for the lighter choice on the menu. But I'm not, apart from any allergies, my choices are just going to go on what I fancy on the day. So, and I do really generally go for the vegetarian choice, but a lot of the time they're quite boring. So if I feel I can do a better job at home, I don't really want to spend the money on something which is just maybe roasted vegetables for a tenner, and I can make that at home a lot better for probably £1, then I kind of feel a bit hard done by. So my focus is that meat is something I never buy in the supermarket, so I might as well go to a restaurant. If it's serving meat, get them to cook it well and indulge in that sense. And that is really the passion behind this podcast, and the passion behind adopting a plant-based diet. Really, it's just reducing our dependence on meat and dairy. I think we're, especially in the Western world, And have you seen, as well as the Western diet has crept into more Eastern cultures, which are very, very focused on more of a plant-based diet in recent years. If you go to Japan and China, especially, but with the influx of McDonald's and fast food and convenience in a lot of these Eastern cultures, the increase in heart disease, diabetes is on the increase. And there's got to be a pattern there that this fast food, this high sugar, high fat food, that's maybe high in fat through the dairy, especially in the meat, processed, is a leading cause of diabetes, heart disease in the, not just the Western world now, but the around the world, unfortunately. And if you think about, if you're consuming more of a plant-based diet, whether that is like a paleo diet, like a lot of people go on, that is very based around meat, especially, but a lot of veg, a lot of beans on the pulses on there. I know they exclude a few pulses, for example. Don't quote me on that, because I'm not fully up to speed on my paleo. So if anybody listening want to drop us a message, and feel free to correct me, because I don't know my facts straight on that one. But they are consuming a lot of vegetables. It's very, very focused on greens, and that's the biggest thing. They adopting a plant-based diet is encouraging more people to get more greens on their plate, and that is always going to be a great thing, and that's the things we lack. So that's how I kind of focus and live day to day, week to week, and I think for me that's what I'd encourage you to try. When people go to vegan January, it's very good for a month, but are you going to maintain it for the year? But rather than being so hard on yourself to maintain it for a year, why don't you just think, I just want to consume more vegetarian options in my weekly diet, so I may have a couple fish meals a week, maybe 2 or 3 vegetarian options, and then maybe a treat at the weekend, or a couple of times a week where I'll have a meat dish. So you could have your Sunday roast still, but the rest of the week maybe have more vegetarian options. They play about with a lot of recipes out there, really exciting recipes that you can choose from. And also a lot cheaper as well, a lot more affordable. It'll save you so much more money, rather than buying the really cheap, cuts of meat that's been pumped with loads of water to fatten them up. You can have less meat, but choose a really good quality meat that's been reared really well. Morally, free range, etc. Potentially killed humanely as well. All these factors have to be accounted for, and by consuming less of it, I think you can enjoy more of it. But less is more, for example. And definitely that is, my advice to you is always going to be a better thing. But don't be hard on yourself if you go out for a meal and there's no vegetarian choices, and there you got to have water you can't eat because you're in a steakhouse with your friends. Just enjoy your life. Be passionate about consuming a plant-based diet 80% of the time when you're at home, and then the odd 20% every now and then when you go out is going to be fine. It's going to be a treat. And that's how you kind of need to view things in terms of exercise regimes, and if you're consistent on that kind of level 80% of the time over the course of the year, you're going to achieve great things. Especially, in other words, if you're the other way around, if you're even 50-50, for example, you're never really going to get anywhere. You're kind of 50-50 good, 50-50 bad. Just stay in one place. You kind of go around in circles. Eat well, then undo it at the weekend, or there's a lot of factors. So if you consistently more towards the good, 80% towards the good, then you're going to find that you're going to achieve a lot more things and actually feel a lot healthier for it by having that sort of frame of mind. So I suppose that's kind of when this is sort of where I want to end today's podcast. As I said, it's probably another topic. It's another topic for another podcast where we can discuss the implementations of more of a plant-based diet. But today I just wanted to give you a really good insight in terms of my passion, how I got to consuming more of a plant-based diet, what was my journey, and hopefully that can inspire you and you can learn from that and encourage you to consume more of a plant-based diet. So thank you again for listening. It's been a longer podcast today, but hopefully you've stuck with me and you've enjoyed every second of it. I really appreciate you taking the time out. Time is precious, as I said before. And if you do have any questions, if you've got any queries or anything you want to speak to me about in the future, feel free to drop us a line. Go to my website, www.mylifestylecoach.uk, or you can hit me up on social media on Instagram at My Lifestyle Coach, on Facebook at My Lifestyle Coach, or on Twitter at My Lifestyle Coach. So love to hear your thoughts, any questions, any feedback from the podcast as well. It would be much appreciated. And we'll catch you next time.
The podcast you just heard was recorded with Anchor. If you want to make your own, download the Android or iOS app completely free from anchor.fm/podcast. That's anchor.fm/podcast.